Welcome back to my Steps to Sobriety, my show on YouTube and as a podcast with me, your host, Esther Nagle. Today is another fantastic day for an interview. Esther Nagle is a rebel yoga teacher, a woman with many abilities, with an interesting story and so many facets to her beautiful self that it will be hard to actually find a start to unravel this beautiful mystery that is today on my show. Well, I'm so looking forward to it, to give it a go. So, Esther, welcome to my show.
Thank you, Stefan. And thank you for that fantastic introduction. That makes me sound so cool.
Well, that's what you are, isn't it? It is. You're a rebel ADHD yoga teacher with more tattoos than should be legally allowed. And here you are. Here you are, just living your life to the fullest and not taking no for an answer, which makes it an absolute amazing life, isn't it? It is. Yeah. You are just in a beautiful position right now, and that is certainly a different story than when you started out, than a few years ago. So today I'm very intrigued and very pleased and humbled that you come onto my show and we can learn from you how you have developed your authenticity and how you now celebrate it. So when was your sober day? When did you stop drinking?
So it's actually my 6th anniversary on Monday, the 12th of October.
Congratulations.
So 2014. That was the day that I decided that I was never going to make myself endure the sort of hangover that I was suffering any longer, because I was lying on my settee going, I just want to die. Can't open my eyes. I want to die. And yeah, I just decided I was never going to do that to myself ever again. And I haven't. But that wasn't really the day I decided I was giving up. That came a few weeks later, once I kind of got myself used to the idea of being sober. But yeah, that was the last day that's the day I celebrate as my sober day.
Wow. That's right, the last hangover. Interesting. Now, 80% of people who make that call and really give it a shot still think, maybe I do one more little taste. Maybe I got it wrong. Maybe I really need to go back a little bit. Did it happen to you? Nope.
Wow. No, because I'd been there many times. You know, I knew that I didn't tell myself that was the last time I was going to drink at that point. I didn't actually have that in my head. What I did was every night I decided I wasn't going to drink that day, and I celebrated going to bed, knowing that I'd remember going to bed, waking up in the morning, focusing on really feeling good and how nice it was that I could remember going to bed, and how nice it was that my mouth didn't feel like I'd eaten an ashtray off the bar and, you know, pour down then the dregs of everybody's lager down my throat. So I just really focused on the positives, and I didn't. And because I was at the time I was doing yoga teacher training. So I was learning all these different tools and practices that were helping me to process the stuff that was going on up here. So I had tools that got me through that, and that meant that I was actually able to be with all the stuff that was coming up inside me. And I didn't need alcohol because I had all this other stuff. So I didn't need the numbing and the oblivion that I'd spent 20 years chasing, because I had other tools by that point. So that day when I was lying on the sofa wishing for death, the biggest thing that was going through my head was, why have I done this? I don't need this anymore. I don't need to do this to myself. So why am I still doing it? And it was just a process of practicing the things I was learning meant that I didn't have that desire to go back to that pain that that physical pain that was the manifestation of all the emotional pain that, I didn't have any desire to go back there. And when I did find my emotions a little bit much, I knew what to do to manage those. So I didn't feel the need to drink.
You were sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Oh, so sick. Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
and whilst it sounds like a cliche, it is so true, isn't it?
It is.
So true.
Yeah.
But then again, the alcohol gave you something. What were the positive sides of the alcohol? Why did you drink? What did it do to you?
So when I first started drinking, it meant that I could talk to boys. When I was 16 and I first started drinking, it meant that this really shy, awkward, uncomfortable, very confused person that I was could actually talk to the boys, which I couldn't really do particularly well when I was sober. And then over time, life got really difficult and I made some really bad choices that kind of sent me down a really dark path and a really deep spiral into what I can now see plainly and clearly was very serious depression. And nobody knew that I was in depression because there was a lot of other stuff going on that meant that I was blamed for a lot of stuff and that there was a lot of shame around these decisions I'd made. And so I was just full of self-loathing. I'd spent my life with an undiagnosed ADHD as well. So there was a lot of self-loathing and shame in me because of who I was, because I didn't really know who I was. I just knew that I was kind of not quite what everybody wanted me to be, and that I didn't seem to get anything right in life, and that, everybody seemed to think that I was this potentially brilliant person, only I couldn't quite ever seem to get there. I couldn't ever quite seem to be good enough. I couldn't quite get life right. And so then when I was 16, it was fine. I was just drinking on a Friday and Saturday night, having a few drinks, getting a little bit tipsy, going home again. It was fine. But then when it became a problem, I was oblivion hunting. I was basically, I look at it now as it was 20 years of slow suicide. I didn't quite have the push to go there in that moment. I thought about it a few times, but I never did it. But I think what I was doing was, well, if I don't want to do it in a quick hit, but I can do it slowly this way. When I was 21 or 22, I was a big Beatles. I've been a big Beatles fan all my life. And I used to be a big John Lennon fan. And I remember I had this big poster of John Lennon on my wall. And I remember looking at him thinking, I'll be dead by the time I'm 40. And it's okay because John Lennon died at 40, so it'll be fine. And I was completely fine with that idea that I might only live half my potential life. And I was fine with that. That didn't seem to faze me in the slightest. And I look back at that now, and that person, that young woman who thought that was okay, my heart breaks for her, like that was never okay. And if I told anybody that had any idea about mental health at that time, that was how I felt, then somebody would have maybe said, Esther, maybe you need help. That's normal thinking. Maybe you need some help here. Maybe there's something going on. But I never did, because to my mind, there was no problem with that. It's like I didn't even see that was a problem. What alcohol gave me was it gave me the ability to completely run away from what I was actually feeling. And it gave me, I chose my friends based on if they drank and took drugs. If people drank and took drugs, I could be friends with them. If they didn't, I wasn't really sure how to deal with them. So it gave me connection. It gave me that ability to interact and to make friends with people, which I kind of struggled with. And so it gave me the things that I needed. But it's like alcohol tells you it's giving you all that stuff. But really, it's not. It's not giving you any of that. And all of that stuff that I thought alcohol was giving me when I was 20 is what I found really since I was 41 and I stopped. I found it all now. that was what I thought I was getting, fun and friendship and confidence and not needing to actually deal with what was going on in my head, because I couldn't stand I couldn't be in my head at all for a second.
I think you have just described virtually every single guest that ever appeared on this show. And
I'm sure.
we all, and including its host, because it is such a common theme. We are so unhappy about ourselves for a number of reasons. And I think the way you described it, that you just couldn't quite be the person that other people wanted you to be, or that your own imagination somehow put up there on the pedestal. You have to be that person in order for you to be happy. Oh, just wait, once I am there, then I'm happy. And this is such a weird thinking, but it's so common.
Yeah.
That's how we are. That's how we roll. And it is so confusing. Self-destructive, self-loathing. I love that. You had so many beautiful sound bites there. You were looking for oblivion. You just did not want to live. No, you did not want to accept what was going on in your life and deal with the problems. And that's such a common thing. That's, for me, that's the same thing. That's why I drank.
Yeah.
And why I drank so much. Suicide in installments, I call it. Yeah. And
that's a good way to,
And it is exactly that.
Yeah, yeah.
But, and so, your yoga career, because your yoga helped you. It was a way of finding new insights into yourself. And yoga, there is a strong spiritual component to it, which is beautiful. For that, many people actually do love it for exactly that reason.
Yeah.
So, when did that love affair start?
Well, I started. So, my interest in yoga came from him back there.
George Harrison.
George Harrison was into yoga, so I had to try it. So I tried it. I went to a couple of classes when I was young and really liked them, but never started going regularly. And then it must have been about, well, must have been in 2007, maybe 2006, 2007, I think it would have been. I started going to local yoga classes because so this is really funny. I'd had an asthma attack and I'd taken a week off work. I don't think I needed to take the week off work, but I used it as an excuse to have a week off work. And I decided, all right, yoga, that's all about breathing. That will help with my asthma. I can go to yoga. Now, I was smoking at least 10 cigarettes a day and at least 3 joints a day at that point. It didn't even cross my mind that might be the most sensible thing, give up smoking. But I said I went to yoga. And ironically, I did end up giving up smoking because of yoga. So it kind of worked. But so I went to yoga and I loved it. I absolutely fell in love with the way that it made my body feel. It was like I'd started walking for healing a couple of years earlier after my brother died in 2005. And I started walking and finding that kind of healing through my body, through moving my body and through just being with my body instead of, I could actually deal with what was going on in my head when I was walking. So there was something about moving my body and something about being present in my body that was very healing and very soothing for me. And I was still going through the grieving process at that point as well. And I remember about, a couple of months into my regular classes thinking, I'm going to teach this one day. I'm going to be a yoga teacher one day. And, I've got ADHD, so everything I do, I'm like, I'm on this podcast now and I'm thinking I could be a podcaster. I could do this. I could do that. That's just how I operate anyway. But I really wanted to be a yoga teacher. And the one thing that I really didn't like about the yoga classes was the breathing exercises, ironically. I went there to learn how to breathe, but I didn't like them because I've got a dust allergy and my nose was always blocked, so I couldn't breathe through my nose. So I really struggled to breathe properly. And then when I had a breakdown in 2013, gave up my job, and instead of, seeking medical help, looking for therapy, maybe getting some actual treatment, I decided now's the perfect time to train to be a yoga teacher. And so I found a teacher that was really close to where I live, and I started yoga teacher training. And I went into that thinking I knew everything there was to know about yoga, and I didn't need to learn anything. I just needed to get the certificate. It took me less than 3 hours to work out. I knew nothing, nothing at all about yoga, because all I knew was the postures. Literally, that was all I knew. I didn't even know that the other stuff existed. I didn't even know what I didn't know about yoga. And when I realized that there was this entire philosophy, this entire life system that goes with the postures, it kind of blew my mind. And I thought, oh my God, this is actually going to be a bit more intense than I thought it was going to be. And within 6 months, I was lying on my sofa contemplating a life of sobriety. And then by the end of that, I was 6 months sober. And I got in there. I hadn't even been able to acknowledge that I had a drinking problem at the start. And a year later, I was 6 months sober. And it was entirely because of the yoga. Yoga was my recovery program, and still is. It's what keeps me relatively sane. I don't say I'm sane, but it keeps me
sane people scare me. So no.
I don't understand them.
Exactly. Nah.
They won't talk to me for long enough for me to understand them. They just a bit like, okay, you much away.
No, it's intriguing. You wrote a book. Show us your book. Come on, there you go.
Here's my book.
That's right.
My name on it.
Yes. And the title is?
The title is Bent Back into Shape, Eating Through Yoga.
That's right. Now,
I've had this for about 4 years, and I still stroke it whenever I pick it up.
So you should. It's your baby.
Yes.
Now, the reason I bring up your book, the foreword in it is your yoga teacher who wrote about your journey when you actually appeared first time in the class.
Oh, what did she call me? Some sort of crazy, colourful ball of energy.
That's right, crazy ball of energy. That's exactly how the name. And I was giggling to myself because reading that and seeing you, I can see the past, because it was a confused energy. It was a confused mess that shone through the fabric there. And then your yoga teacher describes how you change, how with every session you become this different woman. And it is a beautiful, beautiful external review, so to speak. So someone who's giving testament about your progress. And that was, the foreword was good to read there. It gave me a lot of insight about you. So there you go.
It was beautiful. When she sent that to me, I was in tears reading it, because it was incredible. And I've got some photos that I took, various photos throughout my training. Not as many as I wish I had now. I wish I got one every month. But that you can see, you can see the lines smoothing out. You can see the color coming into my face. You can see the joy coming into me. It's like I was gray and empty and just haggard before. And by the time I came out of that year, I swear I looked like 5 years younger at least. And it was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
It's funny what happens when you A, put the right nutrition in you, B, start drinking water, C, actually get rid of all the shit that you have accumulated in your body, all the toxins, and then actually, now that you've done the basics right, that you're now working on your mind and on your spirituality, and develop that self-love for that crazy, nutty, weird yin and yang being that you are. And it's amazing what happens. So there you are. You've actually had the chance to document that transformation. I wish I had, but my transformation was different. There was no happiness in the moment, no sense of achievement, but rather this is a long slog. There is so much I have to deal with as far as my pain in me goes, as far as my emotions are concerned, my patterns of behavior. I always describe myself as an empty shell for 18 months after rehab, because I was literally empty. I had changed my behavior with the help of rehab, but who was I? I had no answer for a long time. And so there are no pictures, or very few pictures from that time. So I would be intrigued to see a kind of before and after, or before and every month there during the time. I
can send you some if you want.
Of yours. That would be cool.
All of you, before and after pictures of you.
Why? Oh, did we meet before?
No. If you want, I've made a little before and after picture, and I update it from time to time with more recent photos as I'm kind of changing photos that I like. But I've got one that is of me very drunk, and it's a hot photo, but I love it because it's I don't even recognize the person that is in the photo. It looks nothing like me, but I love it because I know that was me, and I remember being in that moment. I actually remember that one. And it's brilliant to see the transformation. I love it.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? You do what you think you look like and what you actually look like. I always considered myself quite a good dancer, and I'm sure I looked like a bloody drowning orangutan on the dance floor. But hey, it got the girls. I guess it couldn't have been too bad. But for crying out loud, I'm sure that alcohol was not my best friend. As they say, dear alcohol, I've seen the pictures. We need to talk.
I used to think I was a really cool dancer, and now I look now and I'm thinking, but you were falling about all over the place.
That's right.
You were bumping into people, and you were probably horribly out of time, and you probably looked ridiculous. I'm a much better dancer now.
Exactly. But that's us. That's our disease. That's our problem. Alcohol lies to us. Alcohol gives us such a skewed perception that it is, it's bizarre. It's so bizarre. And I loved what you said earlier. You surround yourself with people that are fitting that mold, because deep inside you know that you're drinking too much. And your body actually says, really, come on, just another hangover, really? And in reality, if you surround yourself with people who are drinking or using, they will at least be as bad as you are, or often worse. And that's cool, because that makes you normal. Okay, so it's very, very easy to go this way. Also, it maybe is not so normal that you start drinking at 10 o'clock in the morning. Unless, of course, you've got friends around, and then you say it's social, and we've got a Bucks Fizz, or you make this kind of really suave excuses. We have champagne breakfast. So yes. So guys, if you find yourself thinking, I can see myself here, we need to talk. So yoga. That's crazy. So George Harrison, Georgie boy, you have got a lot to answer for. So the yoga that, or the style of yoga that you have learned, is that, describe it a bit to us. So first of all, I think stop. Let's go back a bit. Some people don't even know what yoga is. So yoga, how would you describe it to someone, some alien who has just landed on this earth and has never seen George Harrison or a yoga pose and thinks, why are you putting your bum into the air? What is that all about?
So yoga it's a system for healthy, happy living, and it's a system of being that is all about connecting mind and body and spirit. Yoga sees us as it's not just about the body. I mean, you look at yoga on Instagram these days and you could be fooled into thinking that it was just about what you do with your body, but that's just a part of it. So it's about who you are, and it's about finding that person who you are, because we grow up and we're given all these messages about who we are and who we're supposed to be, and we lose who we actually are. And so yoga is all about finding that truth of who you are, finding that truth within yourself, and giving yourself space to just be where and who you are. So you do the physical practices so that the purpose of the postures isn't anything to do with being flexible or having a toned body or looking good on Instagram or anything like that. The purpose of the postures is to get your body able to sit for long periods of time, so you can sit and focus on your breath and get yourself into a meditative state, so that you can then hear yourself think, you can be with your thoughts, and you can tune in too, so that you can be connected with not just your physical being, but your spiritual side as well. So it is a spiritual practice. It's not a physical exercise class. It's a spiritual program. And it's funny, you know, when I started writing this book, when I started thinking about writing my book, one of the things that I thought about doing was actually writing trying to like write it almost like a comparison of yoga and 12 steps, because there's a lot of crossover in terms of the ideas and the messages and the guidance that you get from it. I mean, because I've never done 12 steps, I felt a bit like that would be a bit inauthentic of me. You know, I have no experience of 12-step programs at all. So I thought that maybe I'm not the right person to do that. Maybe, you know, at some point, maybe I could partner up with somebody that did 12 steps and we can do it together then. And that might be the way to do it. But if you look at, like, I've read Russell Brand's book about the 12 steps, and in so much of that, he couldn't have been writing about yoga, because there is so much around self-forgiveness, self-discovery, and the foundations of yoga are all about looking at your behavior, looking at how you talk to yourself, looking at how you think about yourself and how you think about the world outside, how you treat people, and trying to living the best life you possibly can and being the best version of yourself that you possibly can. And those are it's the 8 limbs of yoga. It's supposed to be a step-by-step process. So you're supposed to look at how you live and how you show up in the world before you even get anywhere near a yoga mat. You're supposed to be purifying your behavior and trying to elevate yourself to be the best person that you can be. And one of those foundational elements is called Santosha. No, I've forgotten it. I'm going to do a Seven Dwarfs thing and I forgot it, but it's about cleanliness, and the word will come back to me in a moment. It's about cleanliness. So it's about purifying your body and looking at what you put into your body, looking at what you put into your mind. So there's an awful lot in yoga that can be directly translated into any recovery program that you care to look at. You know, there's so much there. And what I would completely have confused an alien by now. I know that. I'm sorry, I've gone a bit off. But what is also really important about yoga, and one of the things that really the most important aspect of it for me, and I'm the more I learn about breath, the more I'm understanding why, was the breathing aspect of it. So I mentioned breathing before. So I couldn't breathe through my nose. I gave up dairy products to reduce the mucus that was produced in my nose, so I can breathe through my nose now. And as soon as I was able to breathe properly, everything changed for me. I could sleep at last, and I could deal with stress. And as I'm starting to learn now, slowing your breath actually helps your body to process trauma, and it helps to process those stuck hidden emotions that, you know, we squash down and we pour more wine on them, and we pour more cigarettes and more drugs and more whatever. We pour all that stuff onto it and press it down and hide them. And then when you start to slow your breath and really be with your breath, it allows your body to release all that. Now, I've been saying for years that learning to breathe was the biggest factor in me being able to get sober. And I thought that was just because it was allowing me to keep myself calm and calm my stress. But recently, as in like last night, even, I'm starting to understand the impact that the breath has on trauma. And, you know, that if you were starting, like, I know that I'd experienced a lot of trauma in my childhood, you know, ADHD, growing up with that, not knowing why I was so different. That traumatized me in itself, much less everything else. So I know that there was a lot of trauma in me now. And I know that I was releasing that through my breath. And it blows my mind just how powerful this stuff is.
Isn't it?
That, you know, I was doing a lot of other stuff as well. I was doing a lot of writing and a lot of self-therapy through writing. But just how much power there is in just taking the time to breathe and to breathe properly, because we don't allow ourselves, especially if, you know, like me, you're smoking loads of cigarettes and joints every day as well. You're never taking a proper breath. And just when you allow yourself to breathe, it allows your body to release all this tension, and then you can actually feel who you are. It's so powerful. So powerful.
And it is amazing the clarity that comes after a focused session of meditation, breathing, of if you're working with a healer who does high energy healing or high frequencies, things like that, and you're lying there, and what you're doing is you're doing deep breathing exercises, you're doing a proper breathing, and you're doing meditation. Plus, there are other forces of the universe going, and you come around after a half an hour or so, and it's spooky. It's spooky, the clarity, the vision, the feeling, the spring in your step. There's so many things that are just utterly amazing. And they are, I mean, guys, here's a doctor talking about frequencies and stuff like that, and you think, has he gone off the rails or what? But there's so much in school medicine and in Western medicine which we have no freaking clue about. And luckily, we're in the last probably 5, 10, 15 years, there's been a shift away from this kind of more, okay, which tablet can we give you? Shall we give you half a tablet or a whole tablet? Or towards more a holistic approach, towards a more inclusive approach, where whatever works as long as it does, as long as you don't do any harm. And maybe an openness to actually accept that there are things out there that we cannot explain. And if you are here thinking, well, where shall I start? My goodness, my life is a mess. My life has no message. I'm just lost. Then if you always thought about yoga, then why not try? And this is not just something where you then, as you say, focus on the body. And this is so much more than a physical exercise. And that's, I guess, the beautiful thing. Now, again, on the same side, there are guys out there who are watching this now and are thinking, oh my God, he's really gone now, completely spirits, lulu lala, tree hugger, etc. There is, of course, this image of people like George Harrison going to India to find an ashram, to do all the kind of work that is sort of a little bit frowned upon, as sort of going to the extreme. I think if you look nowadays at yoga, and if you look at spiritual leaders in that field, these are normal people. These are absolute normal people out there who just have developed an insight into their body and have developed skills that are so useful. And the breathing is one of them. but it's the body relaxation. It is the way that you change the state of your body, and with that change the state of your mind, which is so powerful. You don't need a tablet in order to change that. You don't need a drug in order to find that peace and that calmness. You don't need to shoot something up. You don't need the alcohol. That's the amazing thing. Now, it's not for everyone, okay? And some people say, look, I can't actually reach my toes. I have difficulties putting socks on because I'm so stiff. And you want me to do whatever crazy monkey puts his ass in the air position, just sitting, no, and no way in hell. You might be surprised how little you need to get started. You just need to be able to actually sit down, and you don't even need to, don't think you start with the lotus position and get that toe into that ear and that, no. You sit, you probably have little blocks of things for people who are too stiff, and you can just sit on that, isn't it? There are...
Well, I don't actually, the way I was trained, we don't use any props. We just work with where your body is now. And it's funny, it's one of the things that I find most confusing. And I think where the modern yoga industry has kind of shot itself in the foot in a lot of ways, is that is the perception of yoga. People think they have to already be able to do stuff before they can even start. Now, I don't know if you've tried to learn anything ever in your life. You don't go into anything expecting to already be able to do it if you've never done it before. If I wanted to learn to play the guitar, I wouldn't expect to be able to play the guitar like George Harrison before I've even had my first lesson. But people think that they need to be able to do yoga in order to be able to do it, to be able to start. So it's like, I can't do yoga, I'm not flexible. And my answer is, well, you probably would benefit from trying some yoga.
Exactly.
If you're flexible, that's not a reason not to do it. That's a reason to do it. That's, because if you are not flexible now, that's not going to get any better unless you do something about it. Exactly. And people say they can't meditate, but that's because they're thinking they need to sit down for an hour and empty their heads. And that is a high level. That's a high level that you get to. You start with 1 minute. You start with 1 minute and you chase your thoughts away for 90% of that minute. You sit down for 1 minute and you realize how much you're thinking. And whenever I try it, when I do 10 minutes every day of quiet sitting, and there's not a minute that I'm not actually thinking something, but I'm aware of what I'm thinking. It's not 50,000 thoughts all crowding for my attention. I can actually follow those thoughts and I'm aware of what I'm thinking. And if I start going off down a real tangent, I can come back to focusing on my breath. People think with yoga that they have to already be able to get to the outcome without doing the practice. And nothing. That doesn't happen with anything. We can't do the thing until we've learned how to do the thing. Exactly. And it makes me so sad because people are denying themselves the option. Beautiful. Because they think they can't do it. And it's like, it's possible for you. It doesn't matter. You never need to sit on a yoga mat in your entire life if you don't want to. You need to breathe. So why not learn to do that a bit better? And what you could benefit from that if you just learn to slow your breath down a little bit. That's yoga. That's still yoga. And you can benefit. You're going to have to keep breathing. So why not do it better?
That is the most beautiful boiling it down to what is really important. And guys out there, I mean, I and everyone else has got waves of anxiety washing over us. And if you know how to breathe, you can deal with that. It is amazing through my journey where I am now. If I want to, I can get rid of a wave of anxiety very quickly, or put a stop to it, or to just change. And I've got it down to a fine art where one particular deep, calm breath in a certain way switches my state completely over. And that is a beautiful, beautiful, powerful thing. It is sort of like you find a button and switch on the laser vision, kind of, and it's beautiful, an absolute beautiful feeling. So therefore, and that is just one way how to use breathing. And if you go back over these interviews, if you were to do a binge watch of all the videos, you will find again and again and again people who have often been quite incapacitated by either chest disease or by other things, that just where their body was at a breakdown point. And there's one story that comes to my mind where this lady was asked, just stand there against this tree and breathe. And she said, what the heck? What are you talking about? Oh, just stand against this tree. Hold this tree and start breathing. And I'll show you how to. And she was unable to even walk from the car to where they met, which was not far. And she stood there for half an hour on that tree and then walked back, and she felt, wow, what's going on here? And she drove home and walked very easily into the house and thought, what is going on here? I was incapacitated with my breathing problem, and now here I am. What's going on? And it is amazing. It's amazing when we start actually listening to our body. And that's what you're doing with your breathing. That's what you're learning to connect. And don't get shied away from it by words like chakras and energy flow, etc. This is just a different terminology. That's just as much as when you start a sport and they talk with funny overhead bowling and cricket and whatever. It is, every sport has got its terminology. So there are funny words there to learn too. So it is what it is. Yeah. But no, it is, don't shy away. I think this is yoga and similar ways of combining the body and the spirit into one have so much to offer us, have so much for us to learn. And it's like a conduit, it's like a facilitator, how to learn about yourself, how to become full as a whole, how to become the authentic, the real you. Everything comes together when you know how to breathe and when you know how to think. And we have got this supercomputer up there, an absolute supercomputer, but no one has ever given us the manual. So you're pressing on a few buttons and think, oh, that feels good. Oh, what is that? Oh, that's alcohol. Oh, that feels good. Yeah, that's cool. I'll try that. Drugs. Oh, they feel good. Yeah. So you've done that. You've tried those things. Well, why not try something else? Why not try just breathing? What is yoga? Huh? What can you lose? Does it hurt you? No. Will you pay gazillions for it? You shouldn't. If someone makes you pay gazillions, then you either have the top of the top of the top people, or someone is ripping you off. Okay, so but then again, yoga teachers also need to live. Okay, it's a
yoga
job.
Yoga teachers do need to pay the bills. Yes, people do. Sometimes people seem to think yoga teachers can live off the air that they breathe and nothing else. Yes, we are among that group of people who seem to get asked to do stuff for free quite a lot.
And it's weird. It's weird, isn't it? It's you wouldn't go to the doctor and say, "Okay, no, thank you very much for rescuing my life. Can I have it for free, please?" Yeah. Exactly. Hang on. So no, that's cool. If you were to be able to go back in a time machine, what would you tell your younger self? Okay, how many hours have we got here? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But if there was one key message that you would give,
I would like to tell her two things. I would like to tell her that she's got ADHD and that she needs to go and find out about ADHD and to get treatment for that, because if I'd known about that at any time in my life, and my life would have been very different, because I only found out 2 years ago. I got diagnosed last year. So I was 46 when I got diagnosed with ADHD. And there was a massive kind of grieving process for the life I could have had. You know, like if I'd known about this when I was 5, if I'd known about it when I was 20, if I'd known about it when I was 30, you know, life could have been very different if I'd had the tools to manage my brain in a different way. And to know that I wasn't a failure because of all the things I couldn't do, you know, all the things that my ADHD means I can't do or that I struggle with. I'd grown up thinking that I was a failure of a human being because of those. So it would have been good. I think younger me would have really benefited from knowing that actually she's got this really awesome brain that just does things differently. And the other thing I would have told her, and that would have made a massive difference if young me could have really known this, was your mother loves you and you need to go and have a hug. Because I grew up with some issues with me and my mum are great friends now. I've been out walking with her today. We get on really well. But younger me didn't really get that my mum loved me. And I think had I known about that as well, had I known that, I think my life could have been a bit different if I trusted her and if I felt able to talk to her about stuff. Things could have been very different. So yeah. And I'd also like to give my younger self a big hug because I think she needed it.
So true. So true. Oh, so true. It's beautiful words that you said there. they speak very much to me because bottom line is, similar there. I've got very similar, not resentments, thoughts where I think, what a shame. Life could have been so different.
Yeah.
Had I not done it my way. But we do. That's what we do as teenagers. That's what we do as young adults. Yes. We think we know it all. We are those kind of beings where the frontal lobe goes on holiday for a few years and then comes back. And for some of us, it takes decades for the common sense to come back. So I think that's the two of us there in a nutshell.
Yeah. I'm not sure mine's ever fully on board. Really.
Yeah, that's right.
My idea of common sense isn't quite the same as other people's.
So true. But as I said, normal people scare me. It is. And that's a nice thing because that's what we are. We are us, warts and all. And there is no one perfect person. It is, if I get $1 for every guest who tells me, wow, I was trying to live up to all the expectations and I was never quite good enough. And even when I ticked all the boxes, I was empty, I was sad, it was just that front, that mask that I was wearing. And deep inside, I was full of pain and didn't know where I belonged to. God, that is the story of life.
Yeah. No matter what you achieve, it's not good enough.
Isn't it? Exactly. So, but then again, guys, if you listen to that, you're listening to it because there's a reason. You are searching. You are here to find answers. And I guess the biggest message that Esther and I can send you is listen to that inner turmoil, because it's a beacon, it's a sign that you are ready to find a new purpose, a new way of life, a new something. You're not content with where you are, and that's the most beautiful place to be in, because you're about to change, you're about to do things, and that's excitement. That's cool. That's, hey, your life is about to go places that you did previously not ever consider, and that's wonderful. Cool. Oh, Esther, it was so good to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming onto my show. You are an amazing woman. And give us again the name of your book. Come on, because this book is actually lovely to read.
It's called Bent Back into Shape, Beating Addiction Through Yoga. It's back to front of the screen, is it?
It is. Same, always the same problem here. That's right. Yeah. You sort of, and sometimes you look and you think, well, hang on, what was that? Did I write that wrong? Or what? Exactly. So same here. So that's the way it is. My steps to sobriety is mine. And you're quite right. I talk about the 12 steps as a failing business and how you would go about helping that business, which happens to be your life. So again, I use it from a more business point of view. But your approach with regards to yoga and talking about the similarities in the belief systems is just intriguing. And that's a beautiful thing. So whatever, I guess the message there for all of you viewers and listeners out there is whatever system works with you, gels for you, whatever makes your mind say, actually, I think they are onto something here. Maybe I should do X, then Y. Then that's wow. And if it is a book like mine that makes the change, brilliant. If it is a book like Esther's that implements the change, brilliant. It doesn't matter. We're all different people. So find what works for you, but do not get complacent and say, yes, I'm in pain, but let's just numb it a little bit more. You can do better, honestly. There's a life waiting out there, and Esther proves it every day. I prove it every day. There's so many other people out there, people you meet in meetings, you meet on the internet nowadays. You just need to look around, and you will be amazed how many fantastic, gorgeous people are there to help you, are there to open your eyes, are there to share their story, because they have gone through the same shit that you're going through now. So don't you ever dare giving up, because there is so much hope out there. You just probably can't see it now. And there is so much help out there, and you can't see it now. And there are people like Esther and me who are very happy to give you a big, big, big hug, even if you're a bit smelly, even if you're a bit down and out. It is what it is. Cool. Esther, again, thank you very much. It was a beautiful and humbling interview. And
it's been lovely chatting with you. Thank you, Stefan.
And you guys out there, look after yourself. Bye.
Bye.
Dream on, dream